Mae Gavanen, croeso and welcome back to Cechle Chwedlau, the Grove of Stories. Today, for episode 5 of my mini-series on tree lore, I wanted to look at the white willow, the Salix alba, one of my favourite trees that we have in the UK, and I think one of the coolest. Like the alder, it is a tree associated with water because that is primarily where it can be found growing in wet, damp, boggy areas and also alongside riverways. It's also associated, similarly to water, with the moon. Those two things often going hand in hand, water and the moon. If you go as far back as the ancient Sumerians or the Mesopotamians, it is said to be the tree associated with the moon goddess Bellali, who was the wife of the sun god Bel. And it's believed probably that from this deity, the sun god Bel, we have the ancient festival of Beltane, which is all about celebrating the returning of the sun in spring. So an old tree, important across many different mythologies and cultures. In Chinese mythology, it's associated with immortality, which is really interesting because it's not a long-lived tree. It's a very quick-growing tree, and as a result, as they often are, quick-growing trees tend to be shorter-lived trees. But I think this association probably comes from the unique property of white willow and other willows, which is it can be propagated, reproduced from cuttings. So all you need to do, as I've done around me here, is cut a branch off a willow tree, stick it in the ground. People say 1/3 or half of it in the ground, but I found that willow is very robust and hardy, and it doesn't need to be that deep. You can just stick it in the ground and it will regrow into a tree. Roots will go out from the base underground, and hey presto, just like that you have a whole new tree. When I first got here, I had about 13 white willows growing along the back wall, and now I have well over 200. I've just taken another 100 cuttings this year because it's so quick growing, it can be pollarded so easily, and I've currently got 30 all around me now in the ground, and I'm making what's going to be the start of a living willow dome, a circular structure of willow that as they grow upwards very quickly as they do, I'll be able to bend them in, weave them and meet them all in the middle like I've just started here, and that will be a huge dome structure perfect for storytelling, fires and other such fun outdoor activities. In European folklore and mythology, it's most well known for its association with music and inspiration. That's where the title The Wind in the Willows comes from, of that famous book. It's thought that the sound of wind going through willows is the source of divine inspiration for musicians and poets. That's why Orpheus is often also associated with the willow tree. It's said that on his famous journey to the underworld, he carried with him sticks of willow for protection and inspiration. And even if you go to the Temple of Delphi, you can find an image of him leaning against his willow. It's possible that his first harp was made out of willow, and it's said even that he once played his lyre for the willow trees of Mount Olympus, and so awestruck were they by his music that they literally uprooted themselves from the ground and began dancing and following him wherever he went. We actually see this across a lot of different mythologies, that the willow is known as a tree that can uproot itself and move around. And this is probably a reflection of its ability to spread so easily and to be reproduced via cuttings. So here again we see that really interesting synergy between early observations and folklore sort of coalescing and creating themselves alongside one another in a really sort of like symbiotic manner, and how they're often a lot more overlapped than we necessarily give them credit for. Another great example, my favourite one, is Old Man Willow from the Lord of the Rings and Tolkienian mythology. He is this kind of somewhat grumpy living tree spirit of the old forest, and we see him in the Fellowship of the Ring as the hobbits try to make their way to Bree through the old forest. They get ensnared and trapped by the branches and roots of Old Man Willow. And it's not until my favourite character, Tom Bombadil, comes along, saves the day, uses the power of his voice and commands them to leave the hobbits alone. And Tom Bombadil rescues them in that way. This isn't the only time Tom Bombadil and Old Man Willow interact. They have this very sort of fun frenemy dynamic in The Adventures of Tom Bombadil, which was actually written before The Lord of the Rings. Old Man Willow invites himself to the wedding of Tom Bombadil and Goldberry, and as they are consummating their marriage on their honeymoon bed, Old Man Willow thinks it would be very funny to go up to the window and tap on the window pane of the bedroom of Tom and Goldberry. And it's said that Tom Bombadil heeded not the voices, taps, knocks, dancing feet, nor the nightly noises. So perhaps he wasn't bothered by this. However, in the morning, it's also said after the wedding that Tom Bombadil sat on the doorstep chopping sticks of willow while fair Goldberry combed her tresses yellow. So what do you make of that? Is that a sort of a dark sign from Tolkien that Tom Bombadil finally had enough of pesky Old Man Willow and chopped him into a nice willow basket? Or is it just a metaphor for Tom Bombadil's domination over the natural world and the power he displays in that regard? So that's the willow tree in mythology, but there's so much more to it than that. It is a multifaceted tree of many interests. In medicine, it contains this acid, salicylic acid, which is used in the creation of aspirin. So it's got loads of medicinal properties. You can actually chew on a bit of willow and get some of that acid, and it's can give you a bit of relief from headache, just like and other pains, just like aspirin does. It's used in lots of medicine. It can cure things like rheumatisms, pneumonias, headaches, all sort of aching bones, all sort of ailments that are to do with the wet, the damp and the cold, which I think is really interesting because those are the places where willow best grows. So again, we have this overlap between folklore, ecology and herb law. It's used so much in medicine that it has the nickname witch's willow. One of the other uses for it is cricket bats. There's even a specific type of willow called cricket bat willow, from which cricket bats are obviously made. And it's perfect for that because willow really, maybe more so than any tree, has the perfect three-way balance between strength, flexibility, but also lightness. So it's perfect for tool handles, weaving. You know, you can make fish traps out of it, willow baskets, cricket bats, tool handles. A really useful tree, and so useful because of how well it can be propagated and spread. So if you've got a very wet, boggy ground like I do, which in the winter often has still lying water, the willow can really transform that land, have a draining effect on marshy areas, and it's a great crop. It's a fascinating tree all round. If there's anything I've missed out, if there are any other facts you know about willows, please let me know. It's so great when I have people on this channel like let me know other stuff about the willow that I didn't know, like stuff that's associated with it wherever you happen to live. So if there's anything I've missed, please do share that with me. If there's any other trees you want me to look at, please also let me know. And as always, I will do my best to make that happen. So, Diolch yn fawr, thank you very much for your support, and I will see you in the next video.